So, if you've watched my recent-ish video from a few weeks ago or a month ago or so about my favorite sports teams, you would know that my favorite sport is football or soccer. It's, to me, the most beautiful sport. I adore it so much, and while basketball comes close, and I really love the NFL too, football is my truest love, and has been since I was 7 years old or so. And something really exciting for me is that the World Cup this year, always the international tournaments like Copa America, the Euro, African Cup of Nations, whatever, they're always fun. But the World Cup is obviously special. It's the biggest international tournament. It's the most important. And I always look forward to it. And this year, the World Cup is being held in my home nation of Canada and the United States and Mexico. Canada doesn't get much, but it's still cool that it's over here. And with it coming up soon, I believe in a month or so? Let me quickly check. Yeah, less than a month. Oh my gosh. Less than a month from the time I'm recording this, which is May 18th. I thought it would be really fun to record my predictions. I do watch football a lot. In case you haven't seen or need to refresh, I watch the English Premier League every single week, but I'm really also into the Spanish League, La Liga, Italy, Ligue 1, Bundesliga might be my second favorite. So I watch all of Europe's top leagues. I'm very up to date. I keep up with it a lot. I'm very into football. I'm a little less locked in consistently to international football, because when it's an international break, I'm kind of just depressed waiting for club football to come back. But I do think I know it decently well. So I think it will be fun regardless. Predictions aren't about being right for me as much as it is just having fun. But I think it will be fun to predict who I think will win this World Cup. And the brackets and everything. This year, it's really fun because there is usually 32 teams in the World Cup, but this year there's 48. They've increased that by 50%. And that means there are a few teams that I know very little about, that I've sort of read up on and looked at a little bit, but I'm no expert on. And so yeah, I think that's fun, and it makes it a little bit of a different structure this year. More groups. And yeah, it's really exciting. Without further ado, let's get started. Just to be, I guess as a preface, there are two teams that I think stand above the rest of the teams. There are two favorites to me. There are two teams that I think are the best in the world. Then, a little bit below them are two or three other teams that I think are very close to being as good as those two, that I consider to be favorites as well, or at least a step below favorites. I think they're huge competitors for the crown. And then below that, I think there are 4 or 5 teams that I think are dark horses that are very good, not necessarily world class, but I think definitely have a chance to win. But I would have most of these teams going out at the quarterfinals or so. I don't know, we'll see. I'll sort of make that clear as we go along. So, firstly, I need to predict the groups, and how I think the groups will shake out after the 3 matches in each group, ranking 1 to 4. This is, by the way, this bracket is really cool. It's really convenient. Just look up FIFA World Cup Bracket Challenge, and it should come up. So, first group is actually one of the most difficult ones. Mexico, South Africa, Korea, and Czech Republic. I believe they're called Czechia now. So, this is really tough. I think I would put Mexico, because of home support, it's really even here. This is maybe the most even group so far, and I think it's one of the toughest to predict. I would give Mexico number 1 just because of home support. They've got a decently solid team. I don't think it's as good as it has been in years prior, but it's solid for sure. And the home support, I think, is going to be really important. So I'll put Mexico first. I like Korea's squad as well. I think I'll put them second. Czechia third, South Africa fourth. South Africa's decent too. I just think maybe a little bit below the rest of them. Czechia's a decent squad. There's some players in there I like. Sorry, this is interesting music for this. Next up is one that's really important to me. The two teams I'll be supporting are Canada and Uruguay, because I live in Canada and I'm Uruguayan. My dad is from there. He was born in Montevideo. So those are the two teams I'll be supporting, but I do definitely have soft spots for other teams that I'll talk about. But so Canada's group, we have Canada, Bosnia, Qatar, and Switzerland. I think Switzerland's probably the best team in this group, but I do think, despite Bosnia being pretty good, I think Canada will come second. There's some injury problems. You know, Alphonso Davies kind of hit and miss. It's been a weird year with injuries for him. There are also other injury concerns throughout, but I'm hoping that they'll get a decent enough squad together, and if they do, I think Canada's pretty... It's... In my life, since I've started watching football, this is the best Canada squad I've seen. And in the past couple tournaments, they've done pretty well. At least, no, sorry, maybe not the last World Cup, but the Gold Cup. So I'm pretty optimistic that they can make it out of the group, and so I think they'll come second, Bosnia third, and Qatar last. Next up is Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. To me, Brazil and Morocco are incredibly even. I think it's really tough between who's the better team between both. I think Morocco's an excellent team. Brazil's interesting because I think they're really good. I think they're really good top to bottom. Well, I think they're good top to bottom. I think their attack is quite good. Neymar, I don't think he's going to roll back the years and become like prime Neymar of 5 to 6 years ago, but I really think he'll be an asset. Vinicius Jr. is a fantastic attacker. Rodrigo's injured, but I love Mateus Cunha. He's one of my favorite players, and I'm a United fan, so I'm a little biased, but I really have a lot of time for Cunha. I think he's great. I think he could have a great tournament. They've got some great attackers. Midfield, I like Paqueta, Casemiro, who I again have a soft spot for because of United. He is, I think, 34 now. He's getting up there, and he's moving from Europe's top leagues, and he doesn't have the longevity to really hack it in a top league anymore, I don't think, which is why I think he's probably moving to MLS. But I do think that he's been preparing for this World Cup very intensely, and I believe in him being able to have a really, really impactful World Cup. I think he can do great if he really just focuses on this tournament. And then after this, I think it'll be the twilight of his career. So I have a lot of faith in Casemiro playing well. And next to him, Bruno Guimaraes, he's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He's incredible. So I think the midfield and attack for Brazil are good. Maybe not like super incredibly world class, and lacking in a bit of the spark that maybe a team like France would have, or Spain, or England with Harry Kane, or I don't know. Maybe it's not quite that good, but I think it's really good. The defense I'm a little concerned about because there are a lot of players there that I think are maybe a bit past it. I can't believe Danilo is still... I don't know, I haven't watched him. But I can't believe Danilo and Alexandro are still playing for Brazil. I feel like they've been here forever, and maybe they'll play amazing. I don't know, but it just... If you compare their defense to the defense of, I don't know, someone like France, a team like even Argentina, I just don't think it's quite up there. And the keeper, I don't think you need to have a world-class international keeper to be a great international teamer to win a tournament. What I mean to say is Brazil is very good. I'm not sure if they're great. But what I would consider to be their greatest asset is Carlo Ancelotti, who is a world-class manager and who I think could do great things. So Brazil would be one of those dark horses, I think. A top, not necessarily, not one of the best two teams, not one of the 2 or 3 teams really close to them, but one of the 4 or 5 after that is what I would classify Brazil as. I still think they're really good. I just don't think they're going to win it this year, but they might. They could. And Morocco, I think, is incredible. I really, really like them a lot. I think they're top to bottom incredibly solid. I loved watching them during the African Cup of Nations. I think it's a toss-up between Brazil and Morocco. I think I'll give Brazil the nod to be ahead of them. Just a bit more star power, also with one of the best coaches in the world. Morocco second. I put Scotland, who are pretty decent, third. Haiti fourth. This one is tough. USA, Paraguay, Australia, Turkey. And I think the way I'm going to do it is Turkey first. I have a lot of time for Turkey's squad. I think it's a great mix of youth and experience and some genuine star power. I'd put USA second. Pochettino, I think, is a good coach. I think USA have a good squad, although there are a couple of injuries that I think could derail things a little bit, but I still think they're a strong enough team. Then I put Australia third and Paraguay fourth. I think every team here is solid. That's how I think it would shake out. Australia tends to do pretty well on international stage. Next, we have one of the classic football nations, Germany. I think this is... Who is this? Curacao. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I screw up? Oh, no. Okay, we're fine. Germany, Curacao, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. This is a great group, too. Germany is interesting because I think they have one of the best coaches in the game. Nagelsmann, I think, is amazing. Very dynamic, great philosophy, but their squad, while still being very good, to me is not as good as it's been in prior years, the sparkling years of the 2010s or so, when they were terrorizing the world. I still think they're a very good team, but I do think that sort of excellence has faded a little bit. Not that I don't think it's possible for them to make a great run. Like I said, I think they're one of the better teams in the tournament, but I'd say they're always one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the world, or like top 5 at least. This year, I'd put them in that top 10-ish with Brazil, more of a dark horse. But I still think they'll win this group. This is the best Ecuador team I think I've seen since I started watching football. They've got a really good squad, particularly in the defense and midfield. I think I have them second. Ivory Coast is good too, and Curacao I'll do last. This next one's really interesting too. Netherlands, I think, have a really exciting group coming through, a new generation. I do not like their coach, Ronald Koeman. I don't think he's a good coach at all. But however, I think on the international stage, sometimes the quality of the squad can supersede the quality of the coach, and even if a coach isn't very good, they can sometimes brute force their way into progressing. I've seen that happen a lot. So I don't think you need a great coach on the international stage as much as you do in a 38-game season, for instance. It is very important, but I do think that there have been cases where a great squad and just a decent coach have won major tournaments. I digress. Netherlands are very exciting, but right up there with them are Japan. Japan are so good. I always love watching them, but particularly in the last couple of years, I think they've been incredible to watch. They're one of the teams I have a soft spot for this tournament. I really am gunning for them this year. And I think they can do some special things. I think if they really want to make a proper run, though, they need to win this group. And I don't know if they can. Particularly, I think I would have gone bold and predicted them to finish first if not for Kaoru Mitoma's injury. Because I believe, let me just quickly double check, but I believe he's injured and I think he's missing the World Cup. Really great player, love watching him for Brighton. He's been awesome in the Premier League for the last few years. Yeah, it looks like he's out of the World Cup. So Japan have a really good squad, really solid squad, in all sorts of positions, and I really, really enjoy watching them play, and I think they have really instilled a super vibrant philosophy. But I think it would have been a toss-up 50-50 between Netherlands and Japan if Mitoma was fit, but he's not. Can they still do it? Let me check their squad. Let me check their squad really quick. Sorry. This is, again, all live. Japan World Cup squad. Yeah, they have a good keeper. Some solid defenders. Good experience. Very solid midfield, my gosh. Some really good players in the midfield. Tanaka, Kamada, Endo, Kubo. Wow. The attackers I don't know as much about. They're a really solid squad, though. And then let me see Netherlands. Oh, there's some really exciting players for the Netherlands. I also think Ronald Koeman made some strange decisions, too. I'm just not a fan of him. But yeah, they've got a really good team. They've got old mainstays that are still very good, like Virgil van Dijk, Nathan Ake. And then they have the likes of Geertruida, Frimpong, Van Hecke, Van de Ven, Hato. Good midfielders. Decent attack. It's a good squad. Okay, because Mitoma is out, I'm going to say Netherlands first, Japan second. Sweden's a good squad too, but I don't think they're as good as these two. And Tunisia, I think, will come fourth. This next one's pretty straightforward to me, even though I don't think it's as lopsided as some may think. Belgium has been a really interesting team to follow for the last decade or so, 10, 12 years. They've had their golden generation. It's come and gone, and they haven't really done anything super crazy with it. They've reached a semi-final or two. And the remnants of that are, I think, players who are now past their prime that are still good and can still come up with world-class moments. Kevin De Bruyne, of course, Lukaku. But I think they're a bit... I think their window has passed a little bit, and while I think they could still make a run, they're on the borderline of being a dark horse. I don't even know if they're in the top 10 or so for me, but they're on the borderline of that rather than being a world-class team. So I think they'll have enough to win this group. I think Egypt will come second, Iran third, and New Zealand last. But I think it's very close between Iran and Egypt. Iran is quite a good squad. Yeah, that'll be mine for Group G. Group H, to me, is quite straightforward. I think Spain is one of the two best teams I've been talking about in the world. I think they're world-class front to back. And the only real question mark for me for them is Lamine Yamal's fitness. He had, I believe, a hamstring injury. He's set to miss the first couple of games, at least, or the first bit of the tournament as he recovers from it. But I think the expectation is he'll join later in the tournament. I think a lot depends on that. I think it's okay for him to miss the group stages. I think Spain will still win this group without him, pretty comfortably, probably. They just got world-class quality everywhere. But I think he is a talisman and maybe their most important player. Definitely top 3 or so. So without him, once you get to the sort of later rounds, that could be the big difference maker. But I assume, regardless, I think they're going to win the group. The only question mark for Spain is his fitness. When he comes back, is he going to be 100%? Will he be able to come back? Is it just overly optimistic for him to come back? Because hamstring injuries can be pretty long-term sometimes. Let me just make sure I'm not talking out of my ass and make sure it is a hamstring injury. Lamine Yamal. hamstring injury. Yeah. Left hamstring a few weeks ago. So I hope for the sake of the tournament, because you always want the best players to be able to play in the tournament. Like I said, it sucks that Mitoma's out. But I hope he's able to play, but that is a question mark for Spain when it comes to whether they can win it or not, when they're up against a really good team in the quarterfinals or semifinals. Like, those are the things that really matter, the fine margins. For their sake, I hope he's fit. Like I said, Uruguay is the second team I'm properly supporting, along with Canada. I think it's a weird time. I think the midfield has genuine really good quality. I'm a big fan of Bentancur. I think Ugarte's better. I just don't think he suits Manchester United. But I think he's better than people think he is. Internationally, he's been very good for the past few years. And Valverde is one of the best midfielders in the world. Defense is decently solid. Attack is pretty good. And Bielsa, I really like Bielsa as a coach, but I just think it's been really weird and inconsistent. It's been really weird. There've been weird problems with scoring, weird problems with the defense. It's been really strange, and I don't quite know what to make of it, and I hope they get it together for the World Cup, but I don't know. Either way, I think they'll have enough. I'd say Cape Verde third, Saudi Arabia fourth. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll just say that. Cabo Verde, excuse me. I do know that they are better than some people might assume. I've seen a little bit of them. They seem to be like they could cause some trouble for Uruguay. Maybe not Spain, but Uruguay. So yeah, and then 4 more groups left. This is a really good group. France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. I think France is the second of the top 2 with Spain. I think France and Spain are the 2 best teams in the world. France have had an injury to Ekitike, who would have been an important squad player for them. Really sad. I think horrifying injury. Like, I really hope he can come back strong from it. But for the sake of France, I don't think they miss a beat. You don't have Ekitike, he might not have even started. They have Mbappe, they have Olise, they have Cherki, they have Barcola, they have Desiree Doué. Like, they are loaded with incredible attacking talent. I think the midfield's pretty solid enough to be a platform for that. Let's just double check. Magnan is a good enough goalkeeper. In terms of defenders, they have Digne, Gusto, Hernandez, Konate, Koundé, Saliba. Oh, God, they're just loaded. Their defense is really good. Their midfielders, they have Conte, Kone, Rabiot, Tchouaméni, Zaire Emery. Taking 2 from those 5 is... I think I put Tchouaméni with any of them. Zaire Emery. Rabiot, maybe, I don't know. Rabiot, I think, sticks out to me as maybe just a squad option or an experience option. But Conte, I think he could roll back the years. Kone's quite good. And sticking them with a world-class midfielder with Tchouaméni is a perfect platform to allow Barcola, Cherki, Dembele. I didn't even say Dembele. My God. Ballon d'Or winner. Desiree Doué. Mateta's a good option. Mbappe, Olise. Like, they are so incredibly good. Incredible team. I think, to me, they've got everything. And to me, with Spain, they are my favorites. So, France first. Senegal are very, very good. They were really good for the African Cup of Nations, but Norway is really solid too, and it's tough for me between these two. Norway have Holland, Odegaard. They have a really good squad, some genuine great quality in there, and I think they could put together a potential run here. Both them and Senegal are so evenly matched. I think just because Senegal is maybe a bit more cohesive, they've already gone through a run recently. I'll put them second, Norway third, but Norway are still going to qualify for the next round. And then for this, Argentina, Algeria, Austria, Jordan. For me, Argentina is they're the reigning World Cup champions, of course. To me, they are one of the chasing pack for France and Spain. To me, I don't know, they're in and around the top 5 or 6 in the world for me. I don't know if maybe this is a step too far. Maybe they're a little bit too old. I look and there's lots of quality there, obviously. Messi, I still think, can put out a great performance this year. Lisandro Martinez is a fantastic defender who I really love. They've got the experience, they've got camaraderie, they've been together for several tournaments now. But I don't know. Maybe they're a bit too old, maybe they're a bit over the hill, and they're a bit past their prime. I just kind of get that impression. I think they're the oldest World Cup squad, or among them at least. With that said, they've got immense quality throughout the team, and I think they'll make it deep into the tournament, and they could win it. They really could win it again. They could pull a double. It's not out of the question. But I don't think they're one of the best. They're one of the two best teams. I think they're one of the teams following that. They'll win this group, and Austria, I think, is very solid. I think they'll be second, third Algeria, and fourth Jordan. The last two groups, this one's pretty straightforward to me. Portugal, Colombia, Uzbekistan, and Congo. I think Uzbekistan have a couple of really good players. Kusanov is very good from City. But I think Colombia is going to be better than them. Honestly, third or fourth could be either Congo or Uzbekistan. I'm just going to go with Uzbekistan. Colombia is quite good. So I'll put them second. Portugal, to me, have one of the best squads in the world. It's an unbelievable squad. If you look at... It's incredible to me. Keeper, the keeper is not star-studded, but solid enough. And then they have the best left-back in the world, Nuno Mendes, to me. Dallo, who's had a good season with United. Cancelo, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but I think he can put in a good performance for the World Cup. Inacio, Antonio Silva, Renato Vega. Like, it's a good defense. It's a good backbone. Internationally, pretty young and dynamic too. But then if you go into the midfield, this is the best midfield in the world, I think. I think it's close between them and maybe England, them and Spain. Let me just double check Spain. Okay, maybe Spain has a better midfield, but it's at least the second best midfield in the world, because Spain has Rodri, Pedri. Honestly, you know what? I think they might have a better midfield than Spain. Either way, they're in the conversation for the best midfield in the world, and what I mean by that is this trio of Vitinha, Champions League winner, could be a two-time Champions League winner, João Neves, and Bruno Fernandes. That trio right there is incredible. That's everything you want in a midfield. World class all around. And then they have the likes of Ruben Neves, great experience. I don't know why the news just broke that Roberto Martinez is not taking Mateus Fernandes, who is a great squad option. He wouldn't start, but he's one of the better young midfielders in Europe. United are chasing him, Arsenal are chasing him, PSG, and that's for a reason, and he's not bringing him on? And he's instead bringing like 4 keepers? I don't know. I think he should be brought, but I don't think it's going to be a game breaker at all for Portugal. He's just a good squad option that I don't understand why he isn't going. And then the attack is the only thing where it's just like, they might struggle a little bit, but I think they have enough quality. Obviously, Ronaldo is now 41 or however old he is. But they have Gonçalo Ramos. João Felix, I don't know about that. Pedro Neto, he's not had a good year for Chelsea. So the front line is maybe a bit lacking, but everything else is fantastic, and I think it's good enough to shoulder a run, a deep run. And so for me, Portugal are a top 5 team in this tournament. I think they're a great team, one of the best squads, and the only reason why I'm not confident in them wholly, despite, again, I don't think the attack is world class, but I think there's enough there, is Roberto Martinez. I don't think he's a very good manager. I don't think he knows how to platform his squad very well. But like I said, a lot of the time, a poor international manager or a mediocre international manager can be compensated for with the squad, with adjustments, And even if they just perform decently, sometimes that's enough. Last one, England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama. That's my order. I think Croatia's very good. Yep. Okay, so, sorry. Oh, no. Okay, well, sorry, it just continued. I think Croatia's very good, maybe a little bit over the hill, but still a competition for basically anyone on their day. Ghana's very solid. I put them third, Panama last. England is another one of those top 5 or 6-ish teams chasing with Argentina, with Portugal. I think England, it's very hard to trust in them. They've had a lot of good deep runs in the last 10 years or so. They almost won Euro. I forget which year the Euros was. Southgate really took them to a good place, but it became very clear that he had clear limitations, and he just couldn't make that jump. It's just very hard to trust in England, to put your trust in them for their group of players. No matter how much talent they've had, they've always seemed to not quite make it since I've started watching over the last 20 years or so. But I think something might be different this year, and that's why I think they are a genuine, very good contender this year. I'd put them right up there with Argentina and Portugal as very close to the likes of France and Spain. I'd say they're top 5 or 6. And the reason for that is I think they've properly got winning pedigree. They have a world-class manager in Thomas Tuchel. I think he's really, really good. He seems very committed. I do have questions about some of his selection. But once he's in the game, once he manages the game, once he does the tactics, I trust him more than almost any manager in the world. And so England finally have a world-class manager leading them. And I think that's huge. Like I said, it's not the be-all and end-all, but I think it's really important and I think might have been the bit England have been missing. Because Southgate took them far, but he couldn't get that extra bit. They also have Harry Kane, who is maybe playing the best football of his career. He's, to me, the best striker in the world. I think he's unbelievable. They also have one of the best midfields in the world. If you look at Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, and Jude Bellingham, backed up by the likes of Kobe Mainoo, Adam Wharton, I don't think it's quite on the level of Portugal or Spain, but I think it's one of the best midfields in the world. I think Declan Rice is really, really good, but can become a little bit of a passenger in ways sometimes. I think he's maybe the tiniest bit overrated. Same with Jude Bellingham. I love Elliot Anderson. I think he's an incredible prospect. But they are all really good players. And Declan Rice, I think, is about to win the Premier League. Jude Bellingham's won the Champions League, La Liga. There's winning pedigree here. Kane, Bellingham, Declan Rice. Bukayo Saka could just win. I don't think he's had a good year. I'm not a big fan of Saka lately. I think he's really kind of fallen off a bit. But I think he's still a good player. Can still really contribute. Has been good for Arsenal lately, and I think he'll probably be starting for England. Then there's great squad attacking options like Rashford and Foden. I think I'm missing one or two. And the only thing is, they have Reece James in defense. Pickford's a good enough keeper. The only thing is, I don't know that Tuchel understands his best center-back partnership, and I think he really needs to go soul-searching and understand that Harry Maguire does, maybe not as a starter, but maybe as a starter. He's kind of ignoring Maguire a little bit, and I don't really know why, because he's had a really good year. I don't know. There are a couple question marks, but nonetheless, I think England's one of the best prospects, and I think they'll make a deep run. Next up, this is a long video. Next up, so the top 2 of each group continue on. Then you pick the best third place teams, so the best performing third place teams. I did this before, looking at the groups, looking at the amount of wins I think they'll get and points I think they'll get. I think Norway makes it, Ivory Coast makes it, Sweden, Ghana, Scotland, Czechia, Australia and Bosnia or Algeria or Iran. Let's say Iran. I think they could surprise a couple people. Next, knockout round. So we're in the round of 32. Germany versus Australia. I think Germany wins that pretty comfortably. France versus Sweden. Likewise with France. Korea versus Canada. That's a really fun game if it ends up that way. I would say, I think it's really even, but I think maybe home field advantage. Jesse Marsh is really good at really instilling a great spirit in the camp, instilling the moment. I think maybe I'm a little biased. Maybe it's kind of what I hope to happen. I have nothing against Korea. I think Korea are a really interesting and fun squad. But let's go with Canada for this. I think it could go either way, that one. Next up, Netherlands and Morocco. That's really interesting. Both two teams who are in and around the top 10 or so for me in the world. Let me take a look at Morocco's squad. Yeah, they have Hakimi, Brahim Diaz, Bouhaddi, Mazraoui, El Khanous. Yeah, they have a really good squad. Morocco or Netherlands? That's really tough. You know, I think Morocco beats them. Maybe if Netherlands had a better coach. But I think the squads, maybe Netherlands have a slightly better squad, but it's really close. And Morocco have more cohesion, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go Morocco beats Netherlands. Colombia versus Croatia. That's really tough. Luis Diaz has been one of the best attackers in Europe. Can Modric do it one more time? I'm gonna say Colombia for this one. Just gonna go with my gut. I think they're a bit more dynamic. Spain versus Austria. Austria is very solid, but Spain are... they're just too good. Turkey or Ivory Coast? I'm going to give it to Turkey. Belgium or Czechia? I'm going to give it to Belgium. Brazil versus Japan. I feel like they face each other very often. This is going to be a great game. That's why I think Japan needs to win their group to make a proper run, because the way it shapes out is they go against Brazil in the first knockout round if they don't. I don't think they have enough to beat Brazil. Brazil's too good, I think. And then Ecuador versus Senegal. What a great match. I don't know if you can tell, I didn't do this before. I'm kind of doing it as we go. Oh yeah, Senegal have a really good team. I'm gonna go Senegal. But Ecuador, man, that platform they have, the defense in the midfield, it's really good. Ecuador's a really good team. Mexico versus Scotland. I think Mexico wins that one. In the Mexico City Stadium, too. Oh, and then they get the next game in the Mexico City Stadium. That's really interesting. England versus Norway. I think that's a really good game. I think England wins that. Argentina versus Uruguay. The classic rivalry. Honestly, a lot of years, even though I am Uruguay and I am biased, a lot of years I find myself backing us against Argentina. And like I said, I think Argentina, I don't think they're as infallible as a lot of people say. I think they're lacking maybe a little bit in dynamism. But I think they have more I think they have more skill, more talent than Uruguay. I think they're more cohesive. They've been there, they've done it, they're going for another round. I think Uruguay are just too inconsistent for me to say that I think they can beat Argentina. But if they can get it together for the group stage, that they can look really impressive and look really cohesive as a unit, there's a chance they could beat Argentina here. But as it stands, I'm going to say Argentina wins. USA versus Egypt, that's a really interesting one. It's really even. I'll say USA in Dallas, home support, will win against Egypt. Switzerland versus Iran, I'd say Switzerland. Portugal versus Ghana, I say Portugal. Some good games right off the bat. Germany versus France in the round of 16. A heavy hitter is out early in my bracket. I think France wins this. Like I said, Germany is a really good team. I don't know that I'm convinced they're up to the standard of France. France just have so much world-class depth. World-class talent everywhere. And if someone like Mbappe is having a bad game, toss on another world-class attacker in Desiree Doué. If Olise, gets a cramp and has to come off, toss on Barcola. Like, they are so good. I think France beats Germany. Not to say that Germany won't make a really good game out of it. I'm sure they will. And it's not out of the possibility that they could beat France on their day. They're a really good team, but I think France wins. Canada versus Morocco. The Canada run ends in the round of 16. I think Morocco is just a better team. So I think Morocco will beat Canada. Colombia versus Spain. That's a good game. I think Spain wins. But this is around the time where I start looking at if Yamal is fit. And if he's playing, if he's looking like himself. But I think they beat Colombia regardless. Turkey versus Belgium. Ooh. Let me, that's a tough one for me. Belgium are kind of like a worse, like the hang-ups I have with Belgium are very similar to the hang-ups I have with Argentina, but worse, scaled down. Yeah, they've got a lot of, it's a really weird mix of. Also, congrats to Sene Lammens, one of my favorite goalkeepers for very unbiased reasons, for making the squad. But they've got a really weird thing where they have players who have been there and done that, who are part of that golden age, who are in their early to mid-30s, who I don't know, I'm not convinced that they're the best in the world anymore. Kevin De Bruyne, Axel Witsel, Lukaku. And then they have a lot of young guys, like this new young generation. And I was going to say, but they don't have a lot in between that. They don't have a lot of mid to late 20s who are really good, but they do. They actually do. I like De Kuyper. I like Amadou Onana. Tielemans is really good. They've had a good season for Aston Villa. Salamakers, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. Openda. Doku. Okay. Belgium are a bit better. Looking at it again, they're a bit better than I gave them the credit for. I think they'll beat Turkey. Yeah, I still think they're in and around the top 10-ish. Brazil versus Senegal. I think this is a really good game. I think Brazil will win in a tight game. But I think this could be one of the better matches in the round of 16. Or, sorry, in the whole knockout. Mexico versus England. I think England wins that, despite Mexico's home crowd. Argentina beats USA. Pochettino loses against his country. Portugal beats Switzerland. I think these are straightforward. Yeah, okay. Then France versus Morocco. I believe this happened. This has happened in a recent tournament. I think this will be a good game, but I think France will win 3-1 or something like that. I think France beats Morocco. This is a fun one. Spain versus Belgium. I think Spain wins that. But I think Belgium make a decent run into the quarterfinals. Brazil versus England is really tough. Like I said, okay, these are two of the best coaches. I think they cancel each other out. Ancelotti is world-class. Tuchel, world-class. Then I look at the... I'm just assuming they're both going to be at the top of their game. I then look at the squad. And I think England has a better squad. Like I said, Brazil has a very good international midfield and a very good international attack. They have a couple good players in defense, although I'm not convinced by it as a unit. Despite my question marks about England's defense, I think they have a slightly better defense. I think they have a better midfield, and I don't think Brazil have someone who will hurt England like Harry Kane can hurt Brazil. So I think England beats Brazil, and Brazil go out in the quarterfinals. Argentina versus Portugal. Two teams I've said are in and around the top 5. I think Argentina has the better coach. Probably better vision, better cohesion. I think Portugal has the better squad. By, honestly, a decent margin. Messi versus Ronaldo. I gotta say, I think Portugal, I think they're a better team than Argentina overall. Which sets us up for a quarterfinal of France versus Spain. The two best teams in the world, to me. And England versus Portugal. Maybe third and fourth. Maybe this is just the top 4 teams in the world. I guess that's how it shakes out. Argentina could easily be in here as well, though. Okay, let's start with France and Spain. Who does Spain... up front... Okay, so... I think that if, gun to my head, if I had to say who's the better team, who I'd be a bit more confident in performing on the international stage, prior to Yamal's injury and the question marks about his fitness, I would have been 51% France, 49% Spain. With the injury and with the question marks, it's tight, but I do think I gotta go with France. And then England versus Portugal in the other semifinal. That's a great semifinal. Two teams that maybe will think that this is their year. Okay, let's break it down. Goalkeeper, I think probably England wins by a bit. There's not much in it, but I think goalkeeper England wins. Defense, I think it's pretty much even. Midfield, like I said, I think they're two of the best midfields in the world. I think Portugal has a slightly better midfield, though. I think you look at João Neves, Vitinha, and Bruno Fernandes as a 3, and I think that's slightly better than Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, and Jude Bellingham. Obviously, it's a dynamic game. There's going to be other players contributing into the midfield. Foden could be a part of it. Saka could drop in. Harry Kane likes to drop deep. But I think, and then Portugal has that depth as well. And then you have on the bench, or like a squad options for England of like I said, Kobe Mainoo, James Gardner maybe, Nico O'Reilly moving into midfield. What a great year he's had. Adam Wharton. And then, but I think Portugal has a better midfield overall. And then you look at the attack. Morgan Rogers, Anthony Gordon, Rashford, Saka, Palmer, probably Solanke and or Calvert-Lewin as backup, and then Harry Kane, the best striker in the world. I think that's notably better than Portugal's. And I also think Thomas Tuchel is a notably better manager than Roberto Martinez. It pains me because Portugal should have a better manager than him. I'm sorry, I don't mean to slander Roberto Martinez, but I think if I had to go with it, if I had to look at the components and then look at it as a whole and how the match could play out tactically, who do I trust more to make adjustments? Thomas Tuchel. Who do I trust more if they need to go to the bench for game changers? England. You have depth, like you have depth on the bench with Kobe Mainoo and Adam Wharton and the likes of someone like Rashford or Palmer. Like, some of the players that will be on the bench are game changers. I think England wins. I think it's going to be really close, but I'll go with England, which means the final is France versus England in New York. And I think the winner of the 2026 World Cup, the best team top to bottom in the tournament, sorry, I was just checking something really quick. Is France. I think France wins. That's my pick. This is my bracket. Now, I cannot wait. I think the bracket I put together is really exciting. You have you have some great runs for all the host nations. Canada, USA, and Mexico all make it to the round of 16 in this. And then I think there's some host nations that get knocked out. Or sorry, not host nation. Some big nations that get knocked out early. Germany out early. Netherlands out early. Then I think you have some great matchups like Brazil, Senegal. The quarterfinals are amazing. Argentina, Portugal, England, Brazil. Belgium, Spain isn't amazing, but it's a fun game. And then France, Morocco is lots of fun too. Anyways, that's how I think it'll shake out. I can't wait to be wrong comprehensively when it comes down to it, but I can't wait either way. This is just how I think it'll shake out. And yeah, feel free to do this yourself. Again, if you want to do this, it's just it's free to do. Just look up FIFA World Cup 2026 Bracket Challenge, and you can just be directed to it through Google. Feel free to let me know what your predictions are, what you think about my predictions. Maybe I've had an oversight on something, but I feel pretty good about this prediction, even though it's going to be wrong. There's always surprise in the World Cup that no one can foresee. If I hope to be wrong about something, it's that I would love Japan to make a run, to maybe come first in their group, and then make a run to the round of 16 at least. Maybe even beat Brazil. That'd be incredible. I would love Japan to make it further than I have them going. But yeah, there are lots of fun teams, even outside of the favorites, outside the big nations that you think of, like Brazil, Argentina, England, France, Germany, Spain. There's Senegal, there's Japan, there's Ecuador, there's Turkey, there's Morocco. There's great teams in this World Cup, and I can't wait for it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you wanted to have this as white noise for 53 minutes, my gosh. Let me know what you think about this, about all this, about your predictions, how excited you are. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.